Shalom. I'm a real Hebrew Israelite of the tribe of Judah of the nation of Israel. This lesson is based on 2nd Esdras 12. What's the perfect understanding of it? Is it just the understanding of 2nd Esdras? I'm gonna start with right 10. This 12 and 10. And he said unto me, This is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. Right? Daniel saw these kingdoms, but he didn't expound to them the beast. The beast. So the eagle, this beast is this beast is the doctrine of sin, but the beast is the doctrine of sin, but this is the Lord talking about in 2nd Esdras 11. The proud, the Lord have looked upon the proud. So the Lord said what? But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare unto thee, behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon the earth, and it shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. And that's talking about Rome, the legs of arm, because they're military, and you couldn't speak against Rome, or they extol you as treason and trying to they'll try to kill you. So this ain't talking about America, because if you fear, people ain't scared of America, because the Lord doing away with that. Behold, the days will come that there shall rise up a kingdom upon the earth. That's Rome. The kingdom upon the earth is Rome. Whereof the second, in the same shall 12 kings reign, one after another. Those 12 kings is Augustus Caesar unto Nerva Caesar, which was and this do the 12 wings. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, Shalakia. In the same shall 12 kings reign one after another. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12. Right? He's going to accomplish many more things than of the 12, because in Daniel, the 11th chapter, the Lord said what? In Daniel, the 11th chapter, Daniel 11, the Lord said what? And shall it's Daniel 11 and 8, and shall also carry captives unto Egypt their gods with their princes and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold, and he shall continue more years than the king of the north. So he continued more years. So the Lord talking about what? In the same shall 12 kings reign one after another. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than any of the 12, right? Because he did, and shall have, the Lord said what? And shall have more time than any of the 12, because he accomplished things. He have accomplished, he killed Jesus the Christ under Tiberius Caesar. That's the second king. The first one is Augustus Caesar. The third, Caligula Caesar. Fourth, these the 12 feathers. But wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and he shall have done more than any of the 12. And this do the 12 wings signify which thou sawest. The 12 wings is talking about 12 kings, from Augustus Caesar unto Nerva Caesar. And this do the 12 wings signify which thou sawest. As for the voice which thou heardest speak, and that thou sawest not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof. This is the interpretation, that after the time of the kingdom there shall arise great striving, and it shall stand in peril of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again to its beginning. Right, when Romelius, which was the first king of Rome, the Roman kingdom, that's the uproar. Is Rome gonna be a kingdom or the emperors? So they set up emperors because the last king of Rome was the last king of Rome, the last king of Rome, the last king of Rome was of the Roman kingdom. The last king of the Roman kingdom. It turned from a emperor into a kingdom. So the last is Lucius Cerberus, and he was the last of the Roman. That's the striving that they were saying. Is it gonna be a kingdom of Rome or emperor? And that's the great stirring up. The 12 feathers is talking about Augustus Caesar unto Nerva, the last of the 12 feathers. As for those, right? As for the voice which thou heardest speak, and that thou sawest not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof. This is talking about that land. The body is the land. That land, the Bible, is that land. This is the interpretation, that after the time of that kingdom there shall arise great striving, and it shall stand in peril of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not then fall, but shall be restored again into his beginning. Right, when Romelius is going to return back into that, like how Romelius had set up the construct of Rome, is going to continue with emperors, but in emperors and not kings. That after that time of the king, right, and whereas thou sawest the 8 small feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation. The small feathers is the Herodians, Herod the Great unto Herod Agrippa, his 8 sons, the Herodian dynasty, which was ruling in Jerusalem as client kings. They called client kings over Jerusalem, the province of Jerusalem. Idumean, which is Herod, he was an Edomite, a so-called white man. He wasn't a Jew. He wasn't a Jew of the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, who was the 3 tribes who was still in Jerusalem with the scrolls, the chief priests and Revelations, and the chief priests in Matthew, Mark, and James. They was the priests, the chief priests. So the Lord said what? And where thou sawest the 8th small under feathers sticking to her wings, this is the interpretation, that in him there shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but short, small, and their years swift. Right, the years of them was starting from 37 BCE into 100 BCE. 100 AD. So that was the Herod's rulership in Jerusalem as a client king to Rome, and and where thou saw, this is the interpretation, that in him shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but small and their years swift. In Roman ways, they was the client kings of Rome, the Herodians. And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching, which is 2 of them shall perish by the middle time approaching, Herod the Great and Herod Archelaus. The middle of 4 shall be kept unto, right, and this, right, the 8 kings, and 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching, which was Herod the Great, and Herod Archelaus. 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach. And those 4 is talking about Herod Antiochus, Herod Herod Philip, and Herod Agrippa the first approach. But 2 shall be kept unto the end. And kept to the end, that's Herod Aristarchus, Herod Aristippus, and Herod the Agrippa II. And whereas thou sawest 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. In the last days shall the Most High. They was resting because they was at ease. They at ease. Greece, Rome, and Spain. Greece, Rome, and America at ease. And in his last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms. 3 kingdoms. In the Most High's days, 3 kingdoms. It's talking about 3 kingdoms, which was Rome, Greece, and America. And renew many things therein, right? The Lord say he pour forth his spirit on the world, and he filled the face of the world. He poured forth his spirit. And they shall have the dominion, raise up 3 kingdoms, and they shall have the dominion of the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression, right? The Romans oppressed the children of Jerusalem. The Lord said the wicked take it by force. Many Jerusalem have the Lord said what? We have the Lord said what? The Lord, he said that we we the kingdom that suffer violence. The Lord said the violent take it by force. That's the so-called white race and the devil. And they shall have the domain of the earth. Right? They ruled the Greeks ruled, then the Romans, then the feet with Mary clay, the iron, the brass, and the iron legs, and the feet with iron and Mary clay. That's talking about what? That's talking about Greece, Rome, and America. And of these that dwell therein with much oppression above all those that were before them. Wherefore, right, all those that before them, like the Medes, they ain't oppressed the children of Jacob like how the so-called white man did, as the Romans and as the Greeks came claiming to be Romans and Greeks, but really they Edomites, Ishawites, Idumeanites, Idumea, Atamamza, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. Right, heads of the eagle. That's the symbol of America, Rome, and Greece. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. Because the Lord said what? The glory of the Lord shall cover the face of the world as the sea do. So God's got to cut out, the Most High got to cut out all wickedness, like gay sex, abomination, transvestitism. The Lord going to do away with all that's promoted in Rome, the extension of Rome, and all the allies of Rome, of America. They're going to witness the hand of the Most High God, Yahweh, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression. In his last days shall the Most High raise up 3 kingdoms and renew many things therein, and they shall have the dominion on the earth. Right? They ruled over the world. Greece, Rome, and Spain. Greece, Rome, and America. Basically, they influence other people to do things according to the lawful nature of uncleanness, Satanism, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression. The children of Jacob was much oppressed by the white man, and the Lord gonna deal with them above all, because it's gonna get to it, above all those that they call the heads of the eagle, for these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness. Right? The Lord said he set the bounds of thy kingdom and finished it, and that shall finish his last end. Right? The last end of this Edomite, gay, homosexual, prostitution, murdering place. And whereas thou sawest that the great head appear no more, it signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. And yet with pain, because Alexander the Greek, which come from the Greek Empire, he was a ruler and king in Greece. He died from a venereal disease on his bed. That's what the Lord's saying. It signified that one of them shall die upon his bed and with pain, because he was hurting from gay sex, animal sex. Them Greeks is a bunch of sodomite beasts, perverted dogs. For the two that remain shall be slain with the sword. So, and the two and for the two that remain shall be slain with the sword. For the sword of the one shall devour the other. Right? From Rome being an empire, Edomite being a man of sin, he from Rome to America, they gonna cut each other off, because basically the extension of the Roman Empire is gonna be destroyed. So the Lord said, right, spiritual Rome. But Alexander the Greek died upon his bed. That's what it's talking about. The three heads is Rome, Greece, and America. The 12 feathers is Augustus Caesar to Nerva Caesar. 12 kings which ruled the Roman Empire. The 8 feathers is the Herodian dynasty from Herod unto Herod Agrippa the second. And whereas thou sawest that the great head appeared no more, right? For the two shall be slain. For the two that remain shall be slain with the sword. Like America gonna be destroyed, but the sword and all the Edomites that come from Rome, they gonna be killed by the sword. For the sword of the one shall devour the other, right? Because America coming out of the extension of Rome Empire, they into war. So that's gonna come upon them, the sword. That's what the Lord said. What? He gonna punish you from being him. For the sword of the one shall devour the other. Right? The sword of the one shall devour the other. That's your sword. Your sword. The sword of the one shall devour the other. Shall devour the other. But at the last shall he fall through the sword himself. Right? But at the end of the ways of Rome, it's gonna fall within itself, America, because the Lord said what? Thy mouth shall be against thee. Literally. For the sword of the one shall devour the other, but at the last shall he fall through the sword. And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wings passing over the head that is on the right side, it signified that these are they whom the highest have kept unto their end. And that's Greece and Rome. And to that end, this is the small kingdom and full of trouble. That's because they're in trouble. The Lord says it's a righteous thing to recompense them that trouble you. So the Lord said what? Basically, they in trouble, as thou sawest. And the lion whom thou sawest Pat raising up out of the wood and roaring and speaking to the eagle and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointed which the highest have kept for them, and for their wickedness unto the end. He shall reprove them and upbraid them with their cruelty. Right? Show them their nature upon them. That's what the Lord's saying. Back to Greece and Rome, because America gonna be totally denied, destroyed, and the anointed. This is the anointed. The anointed is the elect and the disciples and the 144,000 that's going to take the so-called white man, put him into death and put him in slavery. For he shall set them before him alive in judgment, right? In judgment, going to judge the rest of the so-called white man, the Edomites, at the America destruction. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy those that have him preserved upon my borders, and he shall make them joyful unto the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy, those that have been preserved upon my borders, and he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment. right? And the Lord keeping us in the spirit to until the coming of the day of judgment. And that joy is talking about enlightenment of the day of judgment. Wherefore I have spoken unto thee from the beginning. This is the dream that thou sawest, and that is the interpretation. So with that, all the three heads is Rome, Greece, Rome, and America. The 12 feathers is the 12 kings, the first 12 emperors of Rome. The little 8 feathers is the Herodian dynasty, Herod the Great to Herod Agrippa the Second, and the uproar and that came from the midst of the equal body is talking about the argument from Rome emperor to come a kingdom of Rome to an emperor of Rome. And with that, all praise, honor, and glory.